Welcome to Good to Know Shreveport Bossier, a podcast showcasing the good things happening in our community.
That was well done, my
Thank
friend.
you.
Well
I
done,
always
my
wanted
friend.
to be an opener. Yeah.
I'll take over from here. My name's Jeff Finefor. Over here to my right, this is my co-host Paul Reeser, a local businessman, member of the Committee of 100. Every podcast we focus on topics and initiatives that have a positive impact on our community. We have new episodes every other Wednesday, and you can find Good to Know wherever you listen to your podcast. And you've already met our special guest for today, Sheriff Steve Prator, studio announcer par excellence. Thanks for being here.
Right, I'm auditioning for a new gig.
Yeah, I heard you might be in the marketplace for something.
Right.
Take it away, my friend.
Well, as per usual. Now, usually I do the introduction, and Jeff is always shocked at the caliber of guests that we get on. So I was going to say, you're not going to believe. Will you believe me when I say you won't believe who we have on today?
Today, I believe you.
Because you can see him. But weren't you shocked?
I thought that was pretty cool, the way.
Thanks
for
jumping in, and
Well, y'all
definitely we have a
had
job
40
for
of
you.
these already?
Is that how many we've had?
There's
It's
about
been a
40 of them,
bunch.
yes, sir.
And it's the first time I've been invited, so that tells me my importance.
We had to practice. We had to get up to speed. So, speaking of being around a long time, you've been in law enforcement for a very long time. You were
Right.
the chief of police of Shreveport for 10 years, all during the 90s.
Right.
Ran for sheriff and won on your very first time out,
Right.
Caddo Parish sheriff, by 80%. You had 80%
Right.
of the vote. And
Wow.
you've been sheriff ever since. That's 23 years if you're counting, Jeff.
Right.
Is that modern math? I'm sorry. You lost me
But
there.
and I hear you're not going to run next time. So I want to find out all about being a sheriff and why you're not running next time.
Well, I'll start from the why I'm not running next time, and I want to go out on top, and I'm on top.
Yes, sir.
I think with the popularity and with the people like the logic that I bring to a conversation. They like the common sense, and people want to hear that. They want to hear the truth.
You're a straight shooter. That's my take
Right,
on it.
and my job is different from other type jobs where you could maybe say I want to start working part time, and then I might retire next year or something. Mine comes in 4-year slots. I didn't want to leave in the middle of a term. If I signed up now and got elected, that would basically put you 5 more years of agreeing to work. And so that had a lot to do with it. I've been doing this in law enforcement now about 51 years. And that's a long career.
Yes, sir.
You know, you hear people all the time. I heard about an FBI agent that retired after 20 years, a long 20-year career.
Yeah, really.
Something, and I'm thinking, good gracious, you still a rookie. And so I decided at that point I wasn't going to run. And so that's what made my decision.
Yeah, I've been doing this broadcasting thing pushing on 50 years now.
Right.
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about.
And I don't want to stop. So if anybody's listening and you got a good job for me that you might think I might enjoy, I'm willing to do that. And we're going to look at something.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if George Servan runs down
Yeah,
here
yeah.
because your introduction
I
was
might have
fantastic.
I'd love to be an investigative reporter because I know where the bodies are
There you
buried.
go, man. I think we might have something there for you. Talk to me about the difference between being a police officer or police chief and the sheriff. What are the, and being a sheriff goes well beyond just being a law enforcement officer, right?
Right. There's a lot more than that. I went to work for the Shreveport Police Department. I'd gone to college. I had a vocational rehabilitation scholarship, which was an old type of scholarship that they used to have because I'd broken the ball joints of my toes playing football at Northwood. And the coroner was our team doctor, which should have been a clue. But he injected with Novocaine before every game. Well, anyway, they didn't grow back right or something, and they no problem now. But I got a scholarship. I went to LSU. I played around at LSU on this scholarship. I didn't apply myself.
LSU Baton Rouge, the
in
first
Baton
time. Yes, sir.
Rouge. I played and played and played until finally I had a little accident. Which I won't talk a whole lot about.
That was a long time ago. Come on.
Had a little accident. My father announced to me that I was coming home and that I was going to grow up before I go back to college. And he said, I got a job for you. I'm going to get you on the Shreveport Police Department. And I immediately said, the Shreveport Police Department. And back then, that was like Smokey and the Bandit days and all.
Yeah.
And all policemen were overweight and stupid. And you know, in my, you know, not,
in your
that
mind,
wasn't true, but that's the
Yeah.
perception from college boy to that. And I said, oh my gosh. And got on the police department. I was scared to death I was as scared of my partner back then in the 70s as I was
The bad guys.
I got
so
you.
I was kind of, but anyway, I fell in love with the job. It was perfect, what I wanted. You're helping people, you're outside, it's exciting. And I just fell in love and decided I was going to do everything just right, the way I was trained, the way I was raised.
Okay, that's good.
And so I kept a good reputation, good enough to where I was selected to be the police chief as a sergeant. Hazel Beard selected me out of 42 people, and I had applied, and I got promoted around all of my bosses. And under civil service, it's a whole lot different than being the sheriff. Civil
Right.
service, it was very difficult. And then me going over all my bosses, I had a few of them that resisted, and I made a lot of demotions.
Let's go back just 1 second, because social media, even though we think now it's just, well, social media is a brand new thing, and rumors and bullies or whatever. It's interesting though, because it's a rumor that what you told me earlier, that you heard about Hazel Beard.
Oh,
being
that
his
wasn't
aunt.
me. That wasn't me.
Well, we saw it on the Wikipedia page.
Okay, right.
You
Yeah.
read it. You
Yeah.
did, and so we're like, is that true? Because a lot of people say, well, he got in so quick because Hazel Beard was his aunt. Is that true?
No, I didn't. First time I met Hazel Beard was during the interview process after
Okay.
I'd already signed up to be the take the test and apply for the.
So
police
rumors aren't a brand new
So
thing.
listen,
Yeah.
we've established a couple things in your last line of questioning. One, he's a straight shooter. And B, you would never be a good reporter because you had that completely twisted around, but we'll just go with it.
That's right.
The bottom line is you weren't related to Hazel Beard, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Well,
In our research, I thought that we had discussed that, but I
okay.
must have been mistaken.
Okay.
and I just fell into law enforcement basically, and realized that and I've got a strong faith. And I think that when you say you fell into something, I give God a lot of credit for falling me into that, or pushing me into that, or blessing me when I got there, because I have truly been so fortunate. With the people that I surrounded, I didn't do anything. I just was able to surround myself with people that lifted me up.
Tell us about some of the main differences between being a police chief and being the sheriff.
Police chief is a very difficult job. Police chief, you answer to the mayor and the CAO. Okay?
Uh-huh.
That's very difficult. I'd much rather be like the sheriff and answer to 250,000 people. Okay, because basically you stand in front of the city council. The city council asks you, or the mayor, let's start over, the mayor asks you what you need for your budget, for instance. And so you submit something and they say, oh, you don't need this, this is what you really need. And so you go through this process. And then you get in front of the council and the council says, is this really what you need? And you're thinking, no, it isn't, but my boss said this is what I need.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult. You throw in the difficulties of, there's a lot more politics in being the police chief than there is in being a sheriff.
That's interesting, because being a sheriff, you're elected, and therefore that's a political position, and you're not elected as the police chief.
Right, but as the sheriff, you're autonomous. One thing, when you're the police chief, it's kind of odd. When you're the police chief and you go to some churches, then you'll be invited to go and you'll speak from the floor where a little podium is. Okay. As sheriff, I immediately was invited to come up to the top and speak from I guess it goes back to the old days about the high sheriff or something. But the sheriff is, even though the jobs are basically, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot more you do as sheriff that's not law enforcement. But the jobs, you got the same number of deputies as you do police officers. You've got the same problems that come up, the same situation, but you don't have civil service as the sheriff, which you don't have any kind of union negotiations or anything like that as the sheriff. It's autonomous. and you're the tax collector as the
Yeah.
sheriff. You serve all the papers. We do so much inside the city that people don't realize.
Right.
We served 50,000 papers in the city last year
Wow.
at the sheriff's office. We hold all the felony prisoners, which are from Shreveport Police Department. That's half the sheriff's office holds the prisoners for them.
Wow.
We investigate crimes in the city. We work about 85 or 90% of the financial crimes that occur in Shreveport, Louisiana, the sheriff's office works. So we do all sorts. That's only the very beginning of the list of things we do for the.
And when you say serve papers, you're talking about
subpoenas and, for instance, if the Shreveport Police arrest a burglar on Looney Street, okay, or Gilbert Street, wherever street you might be familiar with.
He lives on Looney Street, but that's a whole other thing.
You arrest the burglar there. The Shreveport Police take it to the jail, and they're immediately transferred over to the sheriff's jail. The sheriff then does everything to do with that prisoner, takes him to court, feeds, clothes, and does all that. The sheriff delivers all the subpoenas to all the people that are involved in that case, including the Shreveport Police. The sheriff protects the courtrooms where he has tried. The sheriff transports him back and forth to jail. So all these things are for a case that was made in the city, and all the city did, the city police, they arrested him and investigated it, certainly, but we did everything else. And so people don't realize that. They don't realize how closely we work with the Shreveport Police Department every day.
So talk to me about, how long? Been in this 50 years, law enforcement? What are some of the memorable cases that you worked on, or memorable moments? What types of things stick in your mind over the course of time?
You got so many that I remember and so many I don't want to remember. And,
tell us the ones you don't want to remember.
Well, I mean, when you can imagine, because for 17 years I worked homicides, and at the time I was actually working homicides. We were having 60 and 70 homicides a year, just like now. So,
yeah,
so it would be nothing. It would be nothing to work 36 hours straight, go home, eat, take a shower, sleep, then come back and do it again.
Yeah.
You know, constantly. Sex crimes, set up the first sex crimes unit. At the time, it was whoever happened to draw the case, you know, and I went to my supervisor and said, this isn't fair. These ladies, you need somebody trained to do this. So we started a sex crimes unit. But I remember all those. I remember the Highland rapes, which was, a lot of people don't even remember those from back in the day. But we had 13 rapes in the Highland area, and I was fortunate enough to be the one to solve and catch that guy, along with a whole team of people. Danny Goodson's his name. He's still in jail, and so I got so many memorable cases that I worked on, and so many things like Safety Town, where we've had 80,000 second graders go through there, and it's a community project out on. I mean, it runs the whole gamut.
Yeah.
From making the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office the best place possible, best government agency anywhere around, most responsive, most transparent, from doing that to working homicide and rape cases.
You run the full gamut. Talk to us a little bit about that Safety Town. I mean, you hear about it all the time, and that's a pretty neat thing for the community.
It is. It's a very neat thing, and it's something that we have no idea how many lives we've saved. Because of second graders and older kids too, all the way up through high school, that we have programs out there for. But the second graders, they learn all about water safety and gun safety. That's a curriculum that's very important. About how to call 911, about how to about severe weather, what to do in the case of severe weather. But like I say, it's a community resources out there. I mean, there's all these little houses and there are cars and all sorts of things they learn. I'm very proud of that, and
That's
I know
pretty
we've
neat.
saved lives.
I think it's really neat. So I'm
Well,
dominating things. Do you have a question?
Because there's so many things, we're going over them so quickly, but we could dig deep into any one of these things. You just talk about second graders and gun safety. Like, what is that? Why is that important? But that's incredibly impactful these days, especially.
Right, and we've started not only that, but we've started the first gun program. That started years ago, and other sheriff's offices are beginning to replicate that. We opened the range up out there to the citizens. and so where they can go out there and sight in their hunting rifles and things like that under supervision if they need help, and that way we don't get as many calls in the neighborhoods, of, you know, in the rural areas about people hearing shots. We have the survival courses for kids where they learn how to, you know, a summer camp where they go out there and they shoot 22s and learn about that, and they learn how to carve and how to do things with knives and how to tie knots and how to do all of that. So there's a lot that we do for kids besides just Sheriff Safety Town. We have these summer camps. The Boy Scout camp, that's always a good good way for
You
these
guys
young.
are involved with that too, huh?
Yeah, we host a Boy Scout camp every summer, and we have about 80 kids and
great.
that, and they spend the night first. Many of them never been in the woods before, and some of them have never spent the night in a tent or outside away from their parents, and
that's
it's
cool.
amazing.
I understand you're an Eagle Scout, so that maybe is
Yes.
something that's very personal to you.
It is. I'm a Boy Scouts is close to my heart. I think it established with me a lot of the value system in addition to the skills.
Sure.
You know, going to Camp Odyssey and swimming the mile swim and canoe and learning all of that.
Oh, I did that. I went to Camp Joy. That was in Illinois. Did you do that?
It was joy until you got there, and then
And then it was Camp Misery. That's right. But I mean, some of my fondest memories are being with my grandpa out on his farm in Arkansas, shooting a 22.
Right.
You know, we didn't shoot at anything, maybe a tree or something, but I just loved doing that. That was cool. I think all kids need to do stuff like that.
we love the camping.
Yeah.
You're very popular as a sheriff, and you've won, like I said, the very first time you won 80% of the vote, and you continue to have landslide victory every time. And a lot of people wanting you to run again this time. I understand you already raised a lot of money, and a lot of people were anticipating another landslide. So why do you think you were so popular, or why have you been so popular?
Gosh, okay.
I mean, you
Because you're a straight shooter, you
I
just
don't
tell it
like
like it
saying
is.
I don't like it, but in response to your
not just
question,
popular,
the
but I mean-
success that I've enjoyed
Yes,
is
sir.
the fact, like last night at 6:30, I'm talking to somebody in New Orleans about a case of some puppies that were dropped off up here, and one of them had a bad cut ear, and we're trying to investigate it. So at 6:30 at night, I'm answering phone calls. Everybody in Caddo Parish had my cell phone.
I've called you many times and you answered,
And I always answer my phone. I always return phone calls. I treat everybody like I would want to be treated, like I'd want my family treated. Around the sheriff's office, I'll even call places at the sheriff's office myself to make sure they're answering with their name. And I have people call. At one time, I hired somebody for $10 an hour for 3 hours to call people at the sheriff's office, give them the name, and see if they call you back. Because I'm insistent that government should lead the way on showing up for work on ice days. I mean, if you can get to Channel 3 or you can get to Circle K and make coffee for the deputies, then by golly, the sheriff's office should show up at work. And so that's the kind of logic that I apply to so many things. I think the government has too many holidays. I think the government, when you go to work for government, you ought to realize that you're offering yourself up, and so it's different. Me being the sheriff is a whole lot different than being the CAO or the president of a $70 million company. That's what my budget is. It's a whole lot different because I work for all of you. My job isn't to make a profit. My job is to do what I do, and that's what I've always thought.
Now, one of the jobs that you have as the sheriff is to run a jail.
Right.
And I know that's getting to be a tougher and tougher proposition. Talk about that.
Well, you know, I think it's no secret that one thing that people can expect out of me is that I'm very passionate about law enforcement. I'm passionate about keeping people safe, and I'm passionate about common sense and logical decisions, especially when it involves taxpayer money. You know, tough on crime, careful with your money. That's always been my saying. And the jail, right now we have about 1,400 people in the jail as of today, and the jail was built for 1,070. So we're way over what we should have. Of those that are out there, we have over 1,000 that are awaiting trial.
Wow.
awaiting trial. We have one that's out there almost 5 years awaiting trial. We have 80 that have over 2 years awaiting trial. 80 people. You can look on our app or our website, and you can see for yourself. I've got a running clock on each one of the inmates to show how long they've been waiting for trial to come. Now that's wrong. It's costing the citizens of Caddo Parish a lot of money, and it's bogging down the system. The courts are so slow to get somebody processed through, and I'm not being critical of any one individual or one other agency or anything. I'm just telling you the criminal justice system is ground to a halt, and it's not because of additional arrests. People think immediately, well, there's a lot more crime now, so we're arresting more so they can't get through the system. We're booking far less people at CCC every year than in the past, and we've got far more people awaiting trial. So that common sense tells you, and the Department of Justice will tell you, that the length of stay for pretrial inmates is far too long. Now we need to do something about the court system, whether that's more judges, more DAs, more defense attorneys, more space at the courthouse, something. But we got to do something.
Yeah,
And it's
I know
affecting
you're
our safety.
I know you're passionate about it, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up was the 2017 criminal justice reinvention, or whatever it was,
justice
like
reinvestment,
reinvestment,
which
yeah.
we've not received a penny from. Remember, it was we were going to save money by getting rid of these inmates. We've not received a penny, and we're a large jurisdiction in justice reinvestment. But we have received violent criminals that have gotten out early because of justice reinvestment that have reoffended. Justice reinvestment has made Louisiana and Caddo Parish a more dangerous place.
Wow.
Now, I can say that again, but I know that you can. I know you heard me. It has made us a more dangerous place, and it did not affect just nonviolent criminals. The act plainly says that it reduced the length of time that violent criminals have to spend in jail.
Yeah.
And so people that say it only affected nonviolent, I don't care who you are lying. You're not just that's about the nicest word I can call you.
Well, you spoke out about it at the time. Spoke out about it, and you're still speaking out against it. And who was right? You were right.
And the governor removed me from all state committees, and I was chairman of Post, and I was very proud of the fact that we had increased the number of hours of training that's required in the state of Louisiana. And I was proud of the fact we had done that, and the governor took me off of that, took me off the Commission on Law Enforcement, because he didn't like me saying these things. I didn't say anything personal against him. I'm just saying that was
Well,
wrong.
And you continue to say it's common sense, and when I listen to you, I mean, I don't have a lot of sense, but it seems like common sense to me too. And I know one of your biggest platforms is if a criminal gets rearrested or is found with a firearm when they should never have one,
right.
They should really be in trouble. And that seems like common sense. So what is the roadblock that keeps that from happening?
Well, there's too many times that is convenient to offer a plea bargain. We'll take an attempted possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. How do you attempt to possess a firearm? They'll take an attempted, they'll drop that charge. They will drop the charge if you're arrested for cocaine and a gun. That's two separate charges. It's called an enhanced penalty. They'll drop the gun charge and charge you with the cocaine, let you plead to, and you get a suspended sentence. I'm saying, and the major chiefs and the major sheriff's associations in the United States say the same thing. This didn't come from just me. If you treat every illegal possession of a firearm charge seriously, if you would take it seriously, then crime will go down, violent crime will go down. That doesn't mean you put them in jail the rest of their lives. That means you just know you don't barter with that.
Yeah.
Right now, that's what you barter with. Well, that's the very thing you shouldn't be bartering with the firearm charge. I mean, you get out of jail and you're a felon. I mean, one of the things that's not real hard, even somebody like me can understand. It says, do not own or come in contact with a firearm. You can't do that. When you immediately go out and get a firearm. Well, does that tell you that the person is not going to follow the rules? It does me.
Yeah.
And common sense says that's those people there go to jail, and you see, and justice reinvestment cut that penalty by half.
Okay. Look,
Anyway.
obviously you.
I think
I'm
we can
passionate,
solve the
sorry.
country's
Yeah,
problem right
that's
here on Good to Know.
No,
Jeff,
this
you
is
know.
this is. I appreciate the
It is.
discussion.
It sounds. I appreciate.
We'll
your
lighten it up. I'm
passion.
sorry.
No,
No, that's
no.
fine.
I appreciate your
I'm
passion
liking
and
hearing about it.
It's very enlightening to
Yeah.
me.
We got about 3 minutes left. Let's pivot back to, I guess, some of the more enjoyable moments and take us through your decision not to run again.
Okay. One of the big decisions is I have a team of people that, and I'll be the first to tell you, this isn't the Steve Prator show. It's Steve Prator's picked people that help him show.
Sure.
And my team has decided to retire. A lot of them. I've been like Gary Parker, okay, Joby Moore. I mean, they're getting towards the end of when they can leave if they want to. Jay Long, Cindy Chadwick. We all knew Cindy Chadwick,
Yeah.
and I've got some replacements, like Rod White's doing a good job, but still I miss Cindy. And and I miss my confidants. I miss those, and they're saying, Chef, we want you to run again and win again and all that, and we'll stay in touch. And I'm saying, no, y'all either with me or not. And
Right.
And so I decided at that point, and then I had one little deal with my heart, which I'm in good shape and good health, and I go to the Y every other day, and so that's not a problem. But I had a blockage, an 80% blockage on one of my arteries, and I tell you that just to say, if you got a symptom, go to the doctor. And they fixed that with a stent, and I think 8 hours later, I was doing another news conference in Shreveport. I had driven back from Dallas after the stent.
Wow.
And so it was no big deal, and I'm 100% now. But that made me realize that at some point the world is going to end for Steve Prator, or life here on the planet.
Yeah.
And so I made that decision. But now I'm thinking, did I do the right thing? I'm thinking, what am I going to do to fill my days up? Because I'm too passionate about what I do or anything I do.
That's obvious from this discussion here. So
Yeah,
I was just going to ask you, are you sure you want to
Well, too
retire
late
here?
now.
Well, when I saw you walking in today, I'm like that. I mean, because I'd read on the Wikipedia page you're 70. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed it when I saw you walking in, just spry, coming in. But 70 years, a very long career. Like you say, a lot of people make it 20. So you deserve it. You deserve a chance to retire. But I know you're not going to just quit helping people with law enforcement. So what are some things do you have any idea what you might pivot to continue to help out in the community?
I'm not sure. There's always the chance, if the right person gets to be the governor, that I might have an opportunity to do something on a state level, but I've not discussed that seriously. I don't really know. I'm open for discussions. I'm open to something. I don't really want to punch a time clock.
Yeah.
Right.
At this stage, I don't know how well that would work out. Or drive a cab or something. But I think I believe that it's hard to find good, honest, hardworking,
Yeah.
ethical people, and I'm certainly one of those.
Well,
Yes,
I
sir.
did see you the other day with Jeff Landry here in Shreveport, and he right now he looks like the front runner to become the next governor, and he's one of his main things is get tough on crime, right?
Get tough on crime, right? We've got to make some changes. I mean, sure, we can look around and say, everybody, look at the other cities, they're just as bad. I don't want to be just as bad. I put out an 11-point plan that can get us started that way. And that 11-point plan in 2021, and it's been basically ignored by almost, by so
Really?
many people.
Don't want to
Wow.
go back to the common sense, but the points that I saw just seem like common sense, but
Yeah.
Yep.
not so common anymore, I suppose.
All right. Well, look, that's going to about do it for us. Any last
Thanks for
thoughts
com-
you want to
thanks for
share?
Now,
coming.
can I close out the show? Or
Yeah,
how do
well,
I do it?
Just say thanks for watching Good to Know Shreveport Bossier, and we'll see you again next time.
See you next time I get invited back. We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Sheriff Steve Prator heading down the last few months of his tenure there.
Right.
We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you, guys. We'll be back again next week.